Stafford with World of Smiles, and we're here today with another podcast, Mixed Dentition, and today I have a special guest star, Shira Fogel, with Tiny Talkers.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about Tiny Talkers.
So Tiny Talkers was born 10 years ago when my son was using sign language. Actually, the idea of it came longer than that when my daughter was really using it, but I needed a couple of years to sort of formulate the idea of how I could teach others about this. Basically, both of my kids were so good at using sign language to communicate before they could talk to me that I found myself at the park teaching other parents like I was actually teaching classes at the park. And actually, both of my kids were signing so much with me before they could actually speak that a lot of people just assumed that they were deaf.
Oh, wow.
So we would be at the park and they would say more swinging or stop, all done, want water, that kind of thing. So they were signing all these different things. And it just really made my life so much easier, and I wanted to help other parents to make their lives easier because parenting's hard. And any kind of parenting life hack that you can do, I consider signing like the biggest life hack for parenting. It's amazing and just makes things so much easier. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's such a great way to communicate with your kids. And I remember you and I met right around that time, maybe 9 years ago or so, was before I had kids, and thinking, gosh, what a great thing that you can offer your children, this early education and ability to communicate with you before their vocal cords can form words.
Exactly.
Their hands can make these signs. And so we actually taught our kids a few basic signs based on what I learned from you years before I had kids.
Yeah.
But I will say, so if you're listening instead of watching, you should tune into parts of the video so you can see some of the signs, as they are pretty amazing. And I have a funny story from yesterday, hilariously. You know how life happens. One of my team members, she has a son, and she's trying to wean him. He's past a year, and she's trying to wean him off the nursing. And so when she gets home from work, he just follows her around like this with a sign for wanting milk, and he just like squeezes his hand, milk, 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 milk. She's like, no. She tries to put him off at least until later, and then she finally gives in.
And it's funny because, if he was trying to say the word milk, if he's only a year, he would probably be struggling with that a bit, but sign language is so clear, it's so obvious what he wants.
Yeah. He's like telling her what he wants from her, and she's like, no, water, let's drink some water.
Exactly.
That's really cute.
That is funny.
So you offer classes for parents.
I do.
Great. Well, tell us a little more about what you offer.
So I have actually a lot of different classes. What I recommend that parents and caregivers, I have grandparents and nannies and anyone who takes care of kids, start with the Baby Sign Language 101 workshop. And basically what that is 2 hours of just everything you could possibly need to know to get started right at home, because that's where the learning takes place. It's at home. If your child's in daycare, it should continue during the day there, but really the basis is at home. So if you could just give me 2 hours of your time, I will get you set up with everything you need to know. And for working parents or busy families, or even anybody who might be listening to this who doesn't live in Portland, I have a webcast. So it's the same information, but it's online.
That's great.
And then that is not a prerequisite, though I like for families to start there. I have weekly classes called Sign, Sing, and Play, and that's from 9 months to 2.5 years, and it's infused with a ton of music. We do a lot of dancing, we do a lot of play, and it's just a really engaging way for caregivers and children to connect and learn at the same time, and it's a lot of fun. And what I have a lot of caregivers tell me is that coming every week reminds them to be consistent with their practice. And then I had so many families that would graduate, meaning they just started talking, and they said, we're not ready to leave, but we don't want to take up a spot for babies in the class who need it. So for them, I created a preschool class. So we keep going for ages 2 to 5. And that class is a lot of fun because they can engage more, and so they can learn higher level signs. So instead of just learning one sign at a time, we can say, hello, how are you? And do many different signs with them in colors and concepts. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. Yeah, I think exposing kids to a second language early on too is so important. And
very. For
the parents to learn with their children at the same time and be able to communicate and practice at home.
Definitely.
It's a really great skill.
Definitely. And I have a lot of bilingual families in my classes. And initially they were concerned, well, can we do this because we speak 2 different languages? But signing is actually great for that because it helps to bridge the gap between the 2 languages. So let's say, for example, one parent was speaking English and one was speaking Spanish. If they're both saying their words in their language, but they're both signing the same thing, then the child makes the connection that this word and this word is both the same thing.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so then they're really learning 3 languages.
Exactly.
But they're making that connection early on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it is fun. And, a lot of people just assume that babies don't really know what's going on.
Right.
We don't give them credit for how smart they are until we teach them how to sign. They have so much to say and they understand so much of what we're saying, but the muscles in the mouth take so long to develop, and as a dentist you would know that. Yeah, and so the hand muscles develop a lot faster, and so that's how we can enable them to communicate with us a lot earlier.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
it's true. So with your facial muscles, sometimes you'll see kids kind of like moving their jaw around and even like grinding their teeth, and a lot of times it's the muscle recruitment to work on those muscle fibers, bringing them in, and then just learning, not just how to speak, but how to chew properly and everything. And it's amazing watching kids develop. And it's really great to have a way to communicate during that development process so they can tell us what they need, if they're thirsty versus hungry, or, if they're tired even, or want to play.
Right. Yeah.
It's nice to be able to empower your children to communicate with you.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, for sure. And, just thinking about, you being a dentist, which my kids have always enjoyed going to the dentist. It's never been a traumatic experience. But thinking back to when my son was, I want to say he was 13, 14 months old, we were at the doctor and he had just gotten a shot. And I was chit-chatting with the doctor a little too long, and he looked at me and he signed home. But his mouth wasn't developed enough to actually say the word home. He said om. And had he not signed home, I never would have picked up that he was saying, let's go.
Right.
And it really saved us in that moment, because I said, hurt, all done. We're going to go home now. We're communicating here. I feel you. And so, some of that could be applied in the dentist's office too, for little ones who, how are you doing? Are we happy today? Everything's good?
When I pick up that the parents have worked with their kids on sign language, I definitely utilize the all done after the exam is over.
Yeah.
And I can see their eyes like, oh, okay, all done. I take my gloves off, hand in their toy, and they're like, oh, she is done. Okay, no more crying. I'm good. But I'm going to watch for the home sign as well.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are watching, teach it to me again.
So home, you touch your chin and then up near your temple. And what this is a variation of eat and bed.
Oh,
So think
interesting.
about, what do you do at home a lot? You eat, you
eat,
sleep.
you sleep.
So home is
Home.
like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
one.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other
Yeah.
signs could you teach us today? Any...
Brush teeth.
Oh, I love
Would be a
that
good one.
one. I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a pretty easy one too, and a good one for little kids because it's so visual
Mhm.
that, so you're just
Yeah.
basically, for those of you who are just listening, we are just mimicking brushing our teeth with our index finger. And flossing is the same exact mimicking.
Oh, yes.
Go
Okay,
like
that
that.
makes perfect sense.
Let's see, dentist.
Okay.
You don't actually touch your tooth, but you pretend that you're touching your tooth twice. And then what you do with a lot of professions is you sign something and then you do a classifier. So you just take your hands from up and go down, and that represents a person.
Okay.
So you are a tooth person.
Tooth person. I like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So
Oh, that's
it's
fantastic.
pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to use that one.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
then of
fun.
course some basics here, more.
Yes, more. Remember that.
All done.
All done.
Help might be a good one.
Oh, yeah, help.
Help. If they're needing help getting into the chair, or will you, maybe if you want to help them take ownership over their visit, do you want to help hold this?
Yes.
Or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I just like that I'm a tooth person.
Yeah.
I kind of want to be a floss person.
Yeah,
now,
you can
too.
be a tooth and a floss person.
Tooth and a floss person. That's fantastic.
It is a good one.
So Shira, before we go, is there anything else you would like our audience to know?
Yeah, I would just like to say, if you have thought about signing, but you feel like you're exhausted, as all new parents are, which
Yes.
we can relate to,
Definitely.
just to give it a try, because it really was the greatest thing that I did with my kids, to make them feel good about themselves and to help us communicate, and it just made life easier. And emotions too, for them to be able to tell me when they were scared or they were feeling mad, all the little things that you actually don't think about. Most people think about sign language, they think about more
Right.
and milk
Mhm.
and all done, but it can go much further than that. So even if you just think about 5 to 10 signs that would be helpful for your daily routine, and mix in with that a couple of signs that your kids are really excited about. If you have a dog and your child loves the dog, then you would want to add in the sign for dog, which is just slapping your leg, because that gets them excited about language.
Yes.
And so it's not about using a ton of signs. It's more about just using, at least if you're new to it, using a handful of signs and being successful in that. So, yeah, I wish everybody would just give it a try.
Mhm. I think that's great advice.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking from experience, we only learned about 5-10 signs for each of our kids, and it was very helpful. When you were talking about earlier, I specifically remember the sign for more. And when my son was eating and there was something he really liked, instead of like crying about it or throwing a fit or not knowing how to tell us that he liked it, he would like point at it and be more.
Yeah.
And we were able to communicate with him and just learn a little bit more about what he liked and didn't like. And
Definitely.
And it was a really nice way for him to be able to communicate. And I remember the sign for water and even help. Sometimes he would ask for help that way.
Yes, help was in my top 5 favorite signs for less screaming in the house.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because they can actually express themselves
Exactly.
through the sign language rather than, crying, which is what a lot of kids do when they need help. Like, let's say, I remember being at the playground and my son wanted to swing and he couldn't climb up on the swing. And so he was able to ask us for help. I believe this is a sign for help.
Help. Most kids look like this.
Yeah.
When they do it, just hands up, but it's usually like that.
Help.
Yeah.
And we were able to put him on the swing because that's what he wanted to do. And then he could tell us more swinging. So I just remember really appreciating the few signs that we did learn seemed to go a long way.
Yeah,
so I think
absolutely.
that's great advice. Even for working parents, learning that and not feeling pressured that you have to learn 100 signs.
Yeah.
Just take a few in a week or
few.
a month, and then try to build on that and learn a few more. I think it's a really great way to
And
go.
do make sure that you're talking to daycare though, and that
Yes.
daycare knows what signs you're working on, because babies do expect that all the big people in their world understand the signs that you're doing.
Right.
So they can get a little frustrated. And on the flip side, a lot of daycares do signs and then the parents find that they don't know what they're doing at home. So if your daycare is doing sign language, make sure that you know what the signs are that they're doing. So.
And so tell our audience, how can they learn more about you and the classes you offer?
So just head over to my website. It's tinytalkersportland.com. And you'll find all the different classes that I offer, including the webcast, and you can just kind of get a feel for the class too, through photos on there and videos.
Wonderful.
I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, so that's a good way to see a lot of my students signing, and I teach a lot of signs on there as well. So
great.
Yeah.
And we would love to have you teach a class here at the office sometime.
We did that a while ago, and I would love to do that again.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, well, stay tuned. We're going to plan a class for you to teach here.
Sounds good.
All right, well, thank you so much, Shira, for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And thank you to our audience for listening. Have a great day.
Thank you. We should do thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-oh, we're gonna get punchy.